Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Dev Diary. Today's gonna be a good day because we're continuing work on our Plants vs Zombies Cross Vampire Survivors mashup, which last time we added a couple more plants to the game, tweaked the placement code, and made some very big changes to the gameplay, specifically tile interactivity and variations in enemy types. And by the end we were left with one very big question: what's the gameplay actually going to be? Well, we're hopefully going to answer that with today's session. And so if you enjoyed today's video and ideas, be sure to hit that like button, be sure to also subscribe if you're new to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next episode. With that said, let's get to the code. First, before we get into anything, the placement code got yet another rework. Indeed, everything last week was thrown out the window and replaced with a version that both improves and streamlines the placement logic progression. And by using a switch, this means grouping plants with similar requirements together is extremely easy. And easy is what we'll need, especially with all the new additions. Let's start with the addition of a day-night cycle. Our mashup is going to try incorporating all level aspects into a single coherent experience. Now, based on a timer that runs through another addition made, the game world will go through an entire 24 hours, which includes changes to the environment. Currently, it's just lighting and color tints, which are stored in arrays and transitioned through via RGB and alpha tweaking. So in order to see at the darkest point in a day, the player will need setups which are capable of producing light, such as the torchwood or the use of flaming peas. Additionally, sunflowers now only produce sun during the first half of a day, so basically from sunrise to sunset. Again, these are just the first of the additions, with the plan being to eventually add more as we go. And speaking of going, let's go back to that timer, because it's actually kept as part of a computer struct. Now, this struct runs independently of the rest of the world and is key to our gameplay loop. It will feature what will likely be an iPad-like display of some sort with two features: a marketplace and an email system. First, the marketplace is broken down into buy and sell tabs. It's here that the player will be able to purchase seeds and sell plants for money. Which seeds are available and what plants are in demand will change every 24 in-game hours, which is indeed tied to that time of day timer. Now, obviously this marketplace is in its infancy, but the generation of these spaces are done via independent functions. Prices for those plants are also randomly generated, and those prices are generated from newly added base prices for each plant, which for the time being, because I have no idea what they're worth, are all set to 100. Then in order to display how many plants/seeds of a certain type the player owns, two more functions were created to pull said data from their respective lists. Next is the email section, which I've yet to code. This is where the vampires will send the player an email of when their next major wave will occur, which I thought would be a very Plants vs Zombies thing to do. And the final change made this session was to the HUD, which has all the player information moved to the upper top left of the screen, including a little clock and a counter for money that is currently just for show. So yes, this is a very huge shift in direction from either game. In fact, neither game exhibit these features, but I thought that this would be the best way to incorporate everything into a cohesive experience. That experience again being as follows. The player must ultimately protect their home and themselves using plants. They will have to spend money on seeds to grow plants to sell for money. Meanwhile, vampires will continuously trickle through over time, but will also randomly appear in swarms, which the player will be notified beforehand via in-game email. This will hopefully provide the player with a constant sense of responsibility of tending to the crops, selling and purchasing, and defending their home. And that's as far as I've gotten on the concept. No idea what the endgame or win state should be just yet, but you know, it's still a work in progress. But seriously, with this added computer system, we managed to hit both core elements of the two games. Plants vs Zombies remains that defense game that we expect, and yet we're also able to maintain that feeling of constantly growing and hopefully snowballing over time, like in Vampire Survivors. And the marketplace becomes its own surrogate for both games' progression, with the purchasing and selling of plants covering Plants vs Zombies progress, through the campaign at least, and the evolution of Vampire Survivors. It also helps keep the gameplay active during the purchase and sell phases, with the player having to maintain and defend their crops. And it also lends itself to a new strategic element of what to buy and how to use plants. I'm hoping that if I can balance things properly, there will exist this dilemma of, weighing options. Or if I can't do it, hopefully it'll inspire someone else to do it, but, of course do it right. So this is what our current mashup project is shaping up to be. Do you agree, or do you think that this goes too far in the wrong direction? Be sure to let me know your thoughts in the comments. Also, if you enjoyed this video and want to further support the channel, check out my Patreon. But with that said, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.